look at that, everyone. So an amazing gelato here in the Eternal City, in the neighborhood of Prati, enjoying a great classic Italian sweet that people enjoy at night here at Lemongrass Gelato. Hello, everyone. I'm here at having a gelato break in the neighborhood of Prati, just across the corner of the Vatican Museum. And I wanted to chat today about food in Rome, because I'm absolutely blown away by the food in Rome, and including the gelato. Now it's melting because there was actually a very loud group of people right next to me, a loud group of Americans right next to me. I was waiting to go live until they left, and luckily they left, and the gelato is melting. But I'm so excited to have it. I already ate some. It's pistachio, hazelnut, coconut, and some whipped cream on top. So, food in Rome. Ask me any questions whatsoever. But finding great food in Rome is super easy. For example, this gelato place is literally 1 minute away from the Vatican. Short walk away, 1 minute walk. And there's already great gelato. Across the block, there is a great... Oh, thank you so much. What? No, I'm doing a video talking about food in Rome. Yeah.
Sorry, may I see
What?
your I want to see that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. It's I'm actually on a live video right now. But yeah, this is a gimbal. Yeah.
Kimbo.
Yeah. It bounces everything. This guy just served me gelato. Thank you.
I'm so happy he made my day.
Mm-hmm. It's great gelato.
Sorry,
This is the best lemongrass,
Thank
right?
you. Yeah. No,
Thank you.
Sorry.
No worries. Okay. So we just made a joke because there's actually another lemongrass just down the block. And this lemongrass Ottaviano. And he says that this one is the best one. So there we go. And they're owned by the same owner. But yeah, right by the Vatican, there's a great pizza shop. There is an amazing pasta restaurant a block away. And then around the corner, there is amazing coffee. So in just 1 block radius, you have 4 amazing spots, basically to cover your entire meal. Appetizer with pizza, some food with pasta, some after dinner coffee, and then some after dinner dessert. Evelyn says the food is great everywhere. Italians enjoy life in their food. Hello, Christine. Hello, Gwen. Hello, Elaine. Great videos as usual. Cindy, expensive? No, not at all. So that's another thing that blew me away about Rome. I actually came here a little bit wary. I thought I was going to spend a whole lot of money. Because, I'm in Italy. Italy has a great reputation of having amazing food. I don't want to be missing out on the food, so I thought to myself, okay, I got to budget quite a bit for food. And I was expecting maybe slightly cheaper than New York City, but still expensive. Because, Paris is expensive, London is expensive, even Madrid was expensive. But this gelato over here is €4. 3 massive scoops and whipped cream. Now, €4, you can get even for cheaper if you were in the outer skirts of Rome. But we're right next to the Vatican. This in New York City would cost you at least $10. London as well, £10. Way cheaper here in Italy. The restaurant I went to around the corner, I'll post the names of these 4 places that are all around the Vatican. That restaurant, I ate a huge plate of prosciutto and some buffalo mozzarella. And the buffalo mozzarella was this big. The prosciutto was enough serving for 2 to 3 people. I was there alone, but I ordered it. And then I got a pasta carbonara and 2 sparkling waters. That cost me a total of €19.50. That's insanely inexpensive. And that was right by the Vatican, because the other day I had a 4-course meal for only €16. Pizza, entire tiny like mini pan pizza all to myself, done in like kind of a Naples style, really great, some fresh toppings on it, and it costs only a total of €4.90. So that in New York City equivalent would be about $10. Way cheaper, way cheaper. But how do you find the best food? So, wait, before I get to that, let me show you more of the gelato. And ask me anything. Tipping? Not really. Tipping is, we're in the touristy area, so they might have a tip jar, or you might see other people tipping. It's not really within the culture naturally. It's been adopted because there's so much Americans coming in to visit, where tipping is usual for Americans. So you might feel like you need to tip, but you really don't. But if you're in the tourist area, tip anyway. If you're outside in the outskirts, tipping is not really necessary. So right here, look at this gelato. Now the interesting thing about gelato is that it's super creamy and fresh. Look at that whipped cream. The whipped cream is nowhere near as sweet as the American whipped cream. Now this is already melting, but it actually lasts pretty long considering how fresh it is. But what does fresh gelato even mean? You know, I was skeptical. I'm not an ice cream eater. Ever since I was a little kid, I ate ice cream every once in a while. The only thing I liked was milkshakes. And coming over here, I thought, it's not gonna be that good. Gelato is not going to be a mind-blowing experience because ice cream is ice cream. It's fatty, it's sugary. You might have a little bit too much and feel sick afterwards. But ice cream in America is made usually in massive quantities, frozen, and then it could last up to a month. So you might go to Carvel and you might be eating ice cream that was made the month before. Second thing is, in America, they use American milk. American milk is not the best. It's pretty nasty, to be honest. It's mass-produced cows that aren't treated well, and they're fed usually corn or some type of kind of cow feed that sometimes has even sawdust. So the beef industry, and meat industry, and the dairy industry in America is all messed up. And yet America has resources, but the industry themselves is messed up. The third factor is, in America, they have freezers, but they have freezers to sustain the massive quantity of ice cream that they're making. Or they're making soft serve, which is kind of quickly frozen. That's the downside. Because if you make ice cream with fresh milk, fresh, good quality milk, and then don't use sugar, or not too much sugar, a little bit of sugar, fresh ingredients, including fresh pistachios, fresh hazelnuts, like in this case, fresh coconut, and you use the freezers that the Italians are using, which are like a very strong super freezer that's a lot smaller in size than the Americans. Yes, they make a less quantity. It's a much smaller store, but you end up having fresh gelato, which blows me away, because how could ice cream be fresh? It can. Here in Italy, they figured it out. So that's one of those are three factors. There might be a few other factors, of course. I think those are the three main factors. As you can tell, the pistachio here, it kind of looks like a dull green. You see that? It's not that green. that dull green is the real color of pistachio. So when you go to Carvel, you usually have a pistachio flavor that's super green. It's very, very deeply green. It isn't good at all. So that's why gelato is really good here. And as a non-ice cream eater in America, never been a fan of ice cream aside from maybe the occasional milkshake, I am absolutely blown away. I am a convert to the cult of gelato. And I don't feel too fatty after eating this. Another cool thing is the whipped cream. In America, whipped cream is usually mostly based on sugar. Sometimes it's purely based on sugar. Sometimes they use cream, but it's a whole lot of sugar. Here, not so much. A lot less sugar. And the result is an ice cream with much smaller crystals and way, 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 way more creamier. And yeah, Italians are very friendly, so they've been making cameos. Okay, so let me answer your questions, and then actually let me go back to Madeline. You ate it every night. Amazing. So how do I find great food? Before I look at all your questions, feel free to ask any questions about food in Rome or any first impressions of Rome. Food. It's very easy to find great food here because it's still a city like Paris. It's very similar to Paris in the regard that there is a lot of tourist traps. It might be a little bit worse than Paris because there's some tourist traps that will charge you way too much money. They might cheat you off a very super expensive meal. So it's more akin to a city like Istanbul, which I haven't shown you yet, but I've been to before, or a city like Moscow. These cities tend to sometimes have these tourist traps where they'll charge you crazy amounts. They won't have set prices on the menu. You might go and they say, oh, do you want the appetizer? They'll kind of hint that's included, but you end up finding out that it's not. It ends up being €30. That's definitely a risk, especially if you're just walking around in the touristy areas of Rome. There's tourist traps all around. But right around the corner, and sometimes right next to the tourist traps, is amazing quality, inexpensive food. Great quality, great decor, sometimes even way more beautiful decor, fresh food, and half or third of the price. Around the corner. You don't need to travel too far. It's not like in New York City where there's a few great bites in Times Square, but if you're generally looking for great food in Times Square, you have to go you have to go to a different neighborhood. You have to go to East Village. London, you won't get really ripped off, and it's a lot easier to kind of just bump into food, but you might have to travel sometimes for a very great bite. But here, the great bites are literally around the corner, and they're everywhere, and they're plentiful. But how do you find them? Well, the thing is, a lot of them are kind of, they're inconspicuous. Some of them are just kind of very plain in the front. Their menus are handwritten, and they might not look like nothing much. And sometimes they might look very fancy, but they're not that expensive. So you might think, oh, you're not bumping into the right restaurant. This kind of looks, it doesn't look flashy. There's no big pictures on the menu. There's no guy in the front trying to get you in. It looks rather plain. That's the key. That's when you know a restaurant might be good, especially if you hear a lot of Italian being spoken inside. But I'm a person, I'm making a bunch of videos, I'm doing a bunch of research. I have a little time in my hands to kind of just wander around and try to bump into the best food. So I have a great tool. I'm using Google Maps. Out of all the apps, here in Italy, I've noticed that Google Maps is used way more frequently. For a few reasons. The Italians themselves use Google Maps, so you'll find a lot of Italian reviews. Also, the tourists are using Google Maps, Americans, and also a lot of Chinese tourists are coming over, and tourists from all around the world. So it's very good to use Google Maps. And you can ask the locals, Madeline, great suggestion. And actually the locals give great suggestions. It's very easy to ask for suggestions. Well, so yeah, that's how you find great food in Italy. It's not like London. London is a different food scene. You won't get ripped off. There's not that many tourist traps. And yeah, you'll kind of easily bump into great food in London. You can walk around, see a beautiful restaurant. Good bet. It might be expensive, but it'll probably be great. Here, you have to work just a tiny bit more. But if you do a quick 1-minute search on Google Maps, you'll find some great place that's only a minute walk away. So yeah, let me know any questions whatsoever. Thank you so much for tuning in live. Daniela, te acepto a finance. Ooh, I have no idea what that means. Madeline, hello. It cleanses the palate. Indeed it does. And you ate here every night. Amazing. Hello, Evelyn. I love how so many people manage to get cameos in your videos. The gelato waiter and the woman in the bus the other night. Oh yeah, indeed. People love bumping into the videos. Here in Italy, also the people are very, very friendly. It's not like American friendliness where you get the huge smile on the people's faces and very quick warmth. Nor it's the coldness that you get in Paris. It's kind of like in between, but very friendly. And if you know a few Italian words, very talkative, very quickly. So earlier today, I went to the coffee shop around the corner, which I suggested in my Vatican video. And the guy behind the counter at first was pretty shy, but just kept asking questions about coffee and very interested. And then he told me the secrets of why Italian espresso is so damn good. Hello, Malin. You had dried fruit in your fruit cake with a lemon base. Ooh, interesting. Here in Rome? Favorite thing you've discovered so far in Rome? Well, the history is amazing. Every single corner, there's amazing history. But beyond the history, which you're seeing a bunch of live videos on, the food. More specifically, I would have to say the espresso. Absolutely blown away by the espresso. I've touted how amazing New York City coffee is, because it really is. London coffee is also amazing. But now I realize New Yorkers nor Londoners know how to make espresso. They're very great at making drip, pour-overs, cold brews, nitro cold brews, a bunch of other types of coffee drinks. But espresso here is on another level. And the guy that I met at Peragiamo Cafe, I think is the name, he told me that here they make the coffee with some Robusta beans. And those Robusta beans actually add more crema to the top. The second thing is their machines are actually hacked in order to operate at a much higher temperature. So they pull the espresso much quicker, and it makes a whole lot more foam. So that's why you end up having a super foamy cup of espresso. If you go to a place like San Estuccio, you'll see the foam. It's almost as big as the foam you'll see on the cappuccino. And it's just pure espresso. No milk whatsoever. K vanilla ice cream covered in Cadbury milk chocolate. Nothing nicer. Yeah, I mean, I also love... I tried London ice cream once. I haven't been to Ireland yet, of course, but at least in England I tried ice cream, I think once or twice. Might have been twice, and it was very good as well, because England also has great dairy, unlike America. America has great dairy, but it's more expensive, and you have to really find the good farms that tend to be from the Hudson Valley if you're from New York. And even then, they're not always as fresh. The cows here, they're a few dozen miles away, maximum. As opposed to New York City, the cows are 60, 100 miles away. What flavors my gelato is pistachio, hazelnut, and coconut. I got 3 scoops on this gelato. So feel free to ask me any other questions about food in Rome. Try to do a video where I'll show you the pasta, but I'm posting photos on Instagram of all the pasta and in the comments after live videos. Try the Pinot Grigio, says Elaine. The wine is amazing here. You know what? I might try the wine. I'm usually skeptical of wine as well because in America it usually gives me a headache. But I've learned in America that usually the wine is made with a lot of tannins. And those tannins are kind of a substance that does cause headaches with most people. So it causes redness when you drink it. However, I heard here in Europe, especially in France and Italy, they're made with a lot less tannins. Also, I noticed in Spain, I didn't have too much wine in Paris, but when I went to Madrid more than a year ago, I did try the wine, and it was absolutely delicious. And is gelato ice cream? Yes and no. Ice cream still is kind of made different in America. As I told you, they're much more mass-produced. The freezers tend to be much larger, or it tends to be soft-serve. So either it tends to be super creamy, almost kind of like liquidy, or it tends to be hard ice cream with very huge crystals. So you got that crunch kind of when you taste the ice cream. Here, it's very creamy. It's almost like tasting a very soft cheese. That's how the gelato tastes. And Sandra, you'll be here on Monday. Amazing. And does my Spanish help with speaking here? Yes, immensely. I was hesitant at first to use my Spanish, but since I haven't had the time to learn any Italian, I just said, F it, I'm just going to start speaking more Spanish. And it works wonders because there's a lot of words in Spanish that are also in Italian. Most of them tend to be adjectives to describe how great the food is. Excelente, perfecto, magnifico, which are basically the same words in Spanish. And earlier today I went to a restaurant right around the corner, a minute away from the Vatican as well, where the waiter asked me where I was from in Italian because he knew that my accent was different, but he was curious because he thought I was, for some reason, I knew very good Italian. He told me, and I told him I didn't know any Italian whatsoever. And he said, "Oh wow, you speak great Italian. How do you know Italian?" I told him I was just speaking Spanish to him. And do they have, like we do, fast food? Yes and no. So fast food here there is to-go food, quick food in Italy, but it's high quality, it's very fresh. Usually it's made on the spot, or they made it within a few hours when you order it. So yes, there's fast food. They call it street food or to-go food, and it's amazing. You can find quick pasta, you can find gelato, here's quick. You can find amazing pizza, Naples style or Roman style, which is squares, with great array of toppings. Coffee is a quick meal, quick thing as well. But when it comes to food, yes, there's a bunch of great quick food. There's quick lasagna, there's quick paninis as well. So you'll find a lot of them. Paninos. But the difference in America is you wouldn't really call it fast food, because if you have like a McDonald's or Wendy's or Burger King or Taco Bell, they are not fresh foods at all. Heavily processed, not fresh at all. But if you have like something like Chipotle, it's cooked fresh, but a lot of the ingredients might be a few days old. So there might be cooking with cilantro that is imported from halfway across the world. They're using rice as well that's imported from halfway across the world. Even the beef is not from the region itself. Sometimes the beef that you're eating at Chipotle or a casual place in America like Dos Toros, and there's many others, Dig In, Sweet Green. Sweet Green is an exception, but Dig In and many others, they get their ingredients sometimes from more than 100, 200, 300 miles away. Unlike here in Rome, where it's quick food, but you're still getting fresh ingredients from nearby. Or another similar city to that is London as well. They also have great quick food culture. And when will we get a yum emoji? Ooh, there is a yum emoji. It's the emoji with the tongue kind of licking itself. And have I eaten pecorino pasta with salt and pepper? Yeah, cacio e pepe. I haven't had a cacio e pepe yet. I have had a arancini that's a cacio e pepe, which is kind of a rice bowl made cacio e pepe. I've only had carbonara twice already. It was amazing. I'm from the Hudson Valley, and our milk is quite good. I 100% agree. Yeah. I'm making a generalization about America. It's not so easy to find great Hudson Valley milk being used in ice cream places in New York City. And if it is, like a place like Morgenstern's in New York, ends up being a $15 ice cream. Which, as a person who doesn't like ice cream, I ain't going to spend $15 personally. But here, it's the same quality milk as the Hudson Valley milk. And it's only a €4 cup of ice cream. And you could go lower. You can get one scoop for €150. So that's a great deal. But I do agree that the thing is, I don't want to bash American food. It's just the industry that's a little bit messed up. America, the land itself, has amazing food. America has amazing potential for really transforming food. It already is in many regards. It's just, I am really shocked and awed by how much improvement America could get and learn a whole lot from Italy. Like, huge improvements. Because while America is plentiful in resources, we tend to over-rely on mass production, over-rely on shipping things halfway across the world, on having ingredients on menus that aren't from the country itself. Pineapples, or bananas, or dragon fruit, whatever. You know, you'll go to restaurants where they have those ingredients. Those ingredients are nowhere near the location. It's nice to have those foods, but you know if you're having a dragon fruit on your plate, it ain't going to be a fresh dragon fruit. It's going to be a dragon fruit that's at least a week old. That's the beauty of Italy, is that if you're having a pistachio gelato, you know that that is a fresh pistachio. It might be a few days old, maximum. So America has a whole lot to learn from Italy. It's not that America itself is devoid of great food, it's just the industry and the culture has to evolve. I think move forward. Because there's a lot of great things that America is doing right. And when America does great fast food in scale, you know, here in Italy you have these great to-go places, but none of them are franchises. None of them are chains. It's great for for a city like Rome, or a smaller country like Italy. Italy is about the same size as what, like New Jersey, maybe New Jersey plus Long Island. So it's about the size of that area of the U.S. That's a much smaller country you're dealing with. You have great fast food that's mom and pop shops. But if you're dealing with a much larger country, America is doing a great job at at growing great quality food at scale. So you have these companies like Sweet Green, Dos Toros, Chipotle is another one that manage to make great food but at a much larger scale, and that's why they end up having these that you can have a great burrito in late at night, in the middle of winter, in the middle of Oklahoma, right? That's great. That's something very interesting. So these cultures over here have a lot to learn from over there, because we kind of do need food at scale. It is nice. We don't like. It's nice to say, oh, Italy is great with the food because they have great local ingredients. They do. Amazing local ingredients. Right next door, you have great artichokes, you know, great pistachios, olives, cows, etc., 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 etc. The list goes on. It's nice to say that, but if you're living in the middle of Siberia, or you're living in the middle of Oklahoma, right, which those areas tend to be massive amounts of plains, or for miles you can have a bunch of cattle, but you can't really grow anything else. Or if you're in northern Alaska, or if you're in the hot tropics, like in the middle of Puerto Rico, that has, yes, it has great amount of ingredients, but sometimes you just want a good potato. That's the beauty of what American industrial food is doing. It's somehow figuring out a way to have a great fresh potato on demand. It's not there yet, but it's getting there. So yeah, that's my piece about food. I hope you enjoy that. You can tell I'm passionate about this. All right, I'm gonna eat the rest of. I'm gonna drink the rest of this gelato. Debbie says yes. I'll find it. Tomatoes near Pompeii and oranges are amazing. One of the best oranges I ever had was my first trip to Italy. I went to Sicily. I went to stay with a Italian friend of a friend who lived in Argento. And when I woke up in the morning, he had this bowl of blood oranges. And he said, "Hey, you want one?" I told him, No, I'm allergic. Because I'm allergic to a lot of fruits that they sell in the U.S. I just get an itch in my throat, and I didn't want any. But he said I just like went outside and picked it out from the tree in the backyard, and lo and behold, he had a huge blood orange tree right in his backyard. All around Sicily, they had blood orange trees and a bunch of other different trees, and I decided to just try that blood orange. And when I bit into it, it felt like I was eating a smoothie, a natural made smoothie encased in the beautiful blood orange. It was the juiciest fruit I've ever had in my life, and no allergic reaction whatsoever. The reason I probably get allergies from American fruits is because in America they're very notorious for using huge amounts of pesticide. That's another downside of American industrial food, is that they grow in such massive scale that in order to combat insects, they have to combat it aggressively, and they tend to use pesticide. Unlike here in Italy, where they might not use pesticide, they might grow the blood oranges right next to another type of fruit or vegetable that might help combat the bugs that eat it. Or they just don't produce that many blood oranges, and then you have less blood oranges because the bugs ate most of them, but the few that remain are amazing. That's the difference in industry here in food. And this is a generalization. I'm not so deeply well read in this, but I know my stuff. Tomatoes. Oh, okay. I've been searching all around the U.S. for quality gnocchi. You know what? I don't like gnocchi in the U.S. It tastes plain. But here I had gnocchi yesterday. I'll post a photo as well. It was nearby the Pantheon, and wow, goddamn, it was great gnocchi. Mostly because it was combined with some freshly made tomato sauce. Now the pasta here is actually really good as well, because I'm sorry to pick on you in America, but I'm American. I think America needs to really do better, and they can. Not as a way to diss America, but in order to inspire America. America needs to also fix its flour. America tends to mass produce flour. They tend to use wheat that's genetically engineered, and hence it's a lot less nutrients, a lot less kind of variety in flavor, because they tend to genetically engineer them in order to prevent pests from eating the wheat fields. And the reason they have to prevent pests from eating the wheat fields is because in these breadbasket states in the middle of the U.S., Wheat grows in massive fields. The thing is, when you have one type of food, it's called a monoculture. It's a huge amount of food, but it's only one type, so there's no biodiversity. And without any biodiversity, there's no natural repellents for insects or for disease or for weather conditions. So you end up having industrial ways of kind of combating these issues that nature has a natural way to combat, which just means not growing miles of wheat. It means growing a few meters of wheat and then having some cows and having something else, some other type of vegetable or fruits or something else, you know. And that kind of biodiversity, for example, in the coffee countries around the world, the best coffee usually comes from coffee that is grown wild, grown in the middle of the mountains, and that coffee is right next to other plants from all different types. The worst coffee in the world tends to be the coffee that's mass-produced, grown under the sun in the monoculture, where it's a mile or two of coffee plants. That, unfortunately, was Brazilian coffee in the early 1900s. And it was so bad that the coffee beans would come to America, imported, and they would be gray coffee beans. And the coffee beans looked so nasty that American companies, since they didn't want to, there was no infrastructure to buy better coffee beans from other countries, they decided to start painting the coffee beans in the early 1900s. That's where, you know, coffee culture had a lot to learn from. And it's more indicative of why American food culture has been kind of in a whirlwind. So, my ultimate point is the pasta. That was a big tangent, but the pasta is made with great wheat. So the pasta itself tastes really great. It's just dough, water, and flour, 2 ingredients. Flour is milled up wheat, and somehow it tastes amazing compared to American pasta. It's because of the wheat. You can say it's because of the water. It ain't because of the water. It's because of the wheat. We saw food trucks and flower trucks near our hotel. If you're let me know if you're enjoying this kind of more in-depth talk about food. I've actually gotten this in-depth about food industry. It's been something that has been whirling in my mind for the longest time. I've been wanting to make some type of video of it, but I have no idea how to make it into a fun video. But let me know if you're enjoying it. And Fatima, Mediterranean food is great. It's awesome, like we have here in Spain and Italy and Portugal. I agree. Even when I went to Greece and I went to Istanbul, great food as well. Mediterranean food is amazing. I 100% agree. And it's healthy because, again, it's natural ingredients. I'm going to have one more bite of this melted, liquidy gelato. Feel free to ask me any last questions. Let me know if you enjoy this kind of in-depth talk about food culture. It's a very nerdy talk about food culture. But I think it's necessary to talk about because a lot of people tend to think when they come to visit tourists, and I don't blame you because it's just the lack of education. You come to a place like Italy, and you think, wow, the food is so good, they make it so amazing, American food sucks, you know, why can't every place be like Italy? There's real world challenges. Italy isn't one of the perfect places to have a food culture, perfect weather year round, and also it's a tiny little land. So what is being done in Italy is genius, and it's great. It's a treasure of the world. But it doesn't mean that the rest of the world is doing it bad. This is that we're doing it different, and we have to figure out ways to learn from this culture so we can bring it over to the other culture. But what I do agree is that even though Italy is a much smaller country, and there's a lot less amount of food, it's still way cheaper. America is doing something wrong with having expensive food. Same thing with London and also Paris. Food should not be that expensive. Here it's very inexpensive. And yet all these mom and pop shops have been running for decades. Some of them have been owned in the same family for 70, 80 years. There's something right going on there. And I really love it. Coming here as a tourist, it's such a pleasure to have food. I don't have the biggest budget, so it's a pleasure to have great food without breaking my bank. And amen to wheat flour discourse indeed. And the place in Philly I was talking about, oh Madeline, which place were you talking about? I've been loving your videos of Rome, says Brenda. Amazing. I've been gluten intolerant after 50 years. You're the best. Yeah, I think gluten intolerance is due to just bad wheat in America. I think that's one of the main factors. Because here you don't really see that many gluten-free places. Here you don't see people with gluten allergies. Very, very few. And a lot of the kind of gluten-free talk is imported from America. I think there's more to the story than just having a gluten allergy. In general. So I think this kind of culture of going gluten-free because many people are having gluten allergies, I think it's something due to the wheat industry at large. Same thing as lactose intolerance. Usually eating any type of dairy in America makes me very stuffy. I'm a little bit stuffy now, but it makes me a lot more stuffy in America and very red in the face. Just because I have an intolerance to dairy. But it's American dairy. Because American dairy is pasteurized twice. And by pasteurizing it twice, that means boiling it 2 times, and then cooling it down, serving it, having it in the carton. You're killing off all the nutrients of a natural milk. You're killing off all the natural bacteria that help you process that milk and the enzymes that help you process that milk. So when you have milk in America, you're going to get stuffy. Even if you don't really notice it, it's still, if you truly pay attention, you'll realize that it has a negative effect on your body. But here in Italy, it's different. Since the milk is not as heavily pasteurized and the cows are treated better, there's a better reaction to the milk. So the milk, this ends up going well. I'm still a little bit stuffy because I still have a little bit of lactose intolerance, but it's not that bad. I don't feel as kind of as I do eating a heavy dairy meal in America. And next time you go, invite us. Okay, will do, Christine. And GMO wheat. And have you tried coffee or Italian cappuccino? Yes, I've tried a lot of coffee. Almost all of it has been espresso. I don't really drink milk, but now that I'm here, I might as well try at least one cappuccino. But I've tried the espresso. It's absolutely delicious. I've already given 2 recommendations, which is Taza de Oro, right by the Pantheon, but also right by the Pantheon San Estuccio, which I recommended via Instagram stories. They have something called a Gran Café, which is a double shot of espresso, but it has so much foam. Espresso foam, not milk foam. And it's absolutely delicious. Highly recommend. Now, I've also tried another Italian classic drink that a lot of people don't order. It's kind of more of a specialty thing. It's called a shakernato. And a shakernato, or shacchiato in English, is espresso poured over ice, shaken, and then served in a martini glass. It's really delicious and actually predates the popularity of iced coffee in America. You can find it in the film Roman Holiday, where Gregory Peck actually sits down with the Audrey Hepburn character, who's a princess, and he orders a cold coffee. And what the guy serves him is a shakernato, which is espresso shaken with ice. And that actually is a coffee drink that has been drunk in a culture like Catalan in northern Spain for many decades as well. So great coffee here. Somehow the espresso is universally better than anything I've had in America. America has great coffee, New York City specifically, but something about the espresso here. They don't do here pour-overs, they don't do drip coffees, they don't do filter coffees. It's not like New York, it's not like London. They don't do French press like in France. There's pure espresso, but it is delicious. So thank you everyone so much for watching. I really appreciate you tuning in for this food talk. Final tips is use Google Maps when in Rome. Very easy. Don't be afraid to just walk one block. It's not like other cities where you have to go to a different neighborhood for great food. Great food I found in the 4 different neighborhoods I visited so far. And they've been super touristy neighborhoods, and I found food, restaurant quality food, restaurant food for less than 20 euro by myself. That is extremely inexpensive. If you're with 2 people, you can also maybe only spend 20, 25 euro. It's very inexpensive. Use Google Maps. Walk only one block. You'll find great food. It's very easy to eat bad food, especially if you're in the touristy areas. It's very tempting to go into a restaurant that looks nice with beautiful outdoor seating and very huge pictures of food. It might be filled with tourists, but you might end up eating it. It might be very bad. It happened to family members of mine. It's happened to friends of mine. So, like in New York City, the tourist traps are like right next door to the good food. But you're not paying more, you're actually paying less for good food, unlike in New York City. Try that out. Do you think New York food coffee is made with tap water or filtered water? I think it's made with tap water. Some places I think they filter their water and cool it. Here in Italy, I'm not 100% sure, but when you are served water at the bar, they'll give you some bottled water, mineral water. That might have some effect on the coffee, but don't quote me on that. I don't know the full details about what they do with water yet. And Christine, I love the coffee in Turkey. 100% agree. I love Turkish coffee. Turkish coffee is among the best types of coffee I ever had in my life. And I can't wait to go to Istanbul one day on Facebook Live. If you want to continue lending your support to Urbanist, you can become a supporter by clicking the button right down there. The more supporters I have, the more I can do more live videos with better gear, like this amazing microphone that I got using the funds that I've received from supporters who've been supportive the past few months, and having data here in Italy, because I don't like doing recorded videos. I want to be live. I want to talk to all of you. So press that supporter button. You'll get access to 360 videos as well as some 360 photos, which I shall not mention what they have been taken of, but trust me, I think the supporters can attest. They've been really awesome. Let everyone know in the comments if you're a supporter, if you truly enjoy the photos I've taken. Don't let them know what it is, but you can tell them if you enjoyed them. Or you can leave a one-time contribution at paypal.me/Ariel Vieira. I love giving these videos for free, but all the support I can get is even better. And if you can't support via those 2 methods, sharing these videos with your friends and family, telling more people about it, helps out, because the more people we have, the better live videos I can provide to all of you, because live videos is like theater. The more people we have on board in the theater itself, the more fun and vibrant everything is. So let's get Urbanist huge, so I can show you Istanbul, Turkish coffee, some shisha, so I can show you Athens, the Acropolis, so I can show you Tokyo and the great Kisaten coffee culture over there. I can show you all these wonderful places. Take you on virtual vacations where we can all join in together, because I know a lot of you either might not be able to travel to these places, or you want to learn about these places in depth through the history and through my pro tips. And since I have the ability to walk for miles and miles, and the will and the love to do so, and the love to learn all the history of these places, the deep history, as we discussed today, even about the food industry. I love that, and I love giving that to all of you. So This is what makes Urbanist special, in my opinion. This is why I love to provide all of you. So I appreciate everyone who's been supporting. Kay, Rocky, and a bunch of other people. Sandra, thank you so much for watching. Wow. I'll see you tomorrow, 3 p.m. Rome time. Keep being awesome, and always keep exploring. I'm about to get run over by the street cleaner. Have a great day, everyone. Arrivederci, amici. Bye-bye.